Ryan O'Hearn is having one of the most craziest months and is only 22% owned. And I have 10 names today that you must add to help you dominate your league this week.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew A. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening, whether it's Apple or Spotify or any of those platforms. It really helps out the show. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And okay, let's get into it today. Quite honestly, we have a great show, and I want to start off with it hot and heavy. We have 10 names today that I think are going to help you dominate the weekend and possibly even dominate your league. So let's get into it. I have an awesome amount of names today. 5 bats, like always, and five pitchers. This is some good matchups for the weekend and maybe for a couple weeks. We'll see. But first, we're going to start off with some bats and a guy that I mentioned at the top of the show, Ryan O'Hearn, only 22% owned. That is just mind-blowing to me. He's having a crazy month, and it's just bonkers. Okay? Him playing first in outfield for the Baltimore Orioles just gives the flexibility and also a little bit of upside. Look, this month, 13 runs, 5 bombs, 13 ribs, a stolen base, and batting 367. He's also has 9 home runs on the season, batting 340. This is just wonderful numbers for a guy that is literally owned 22% in leagues. He needs to be owned way more than this, whether this is the new normal, which no, it's probably not, or it's just a wave that we got to catch. Probably the case. We need to be a part of it. Ryan O'Hearn is 31 years old, and I'm not believing in the breakout. And quite honestly, the career pace for home runs, just not possible. But I want to get on this ride for as long as this is going to be this good. Look, he's even good for points leagues right now, which he's kind of always been. Pretty good walk to strikeout rate ratios over like last year. But this year, it's superb. 21 walks to 29 strikeouts right now. I mean, this is good. He's literally good for every type of league. He needs to be widely owned. I can't explain the power. It's kind of mind-blowing to me, but hey, he's getting her done. You look under the hood too, and things are looking really good. XwOBA is at 407. X batting average is 329. His X slug is 523. His average exit velocity is sitting at 90.5 miles an hour, barreling nearly 10% of the time, creating hard contact 50% of the time. Launch angle is beautiful. He's not really whiffing. He's not really striking out, and he's walking a lot. This is all career high numbers. I don't know what got into him, but I like it. And what's blowing my mind is the ownership percentage. This literally is a pause the podcast type of moment and add him because you're making a mistake by not just taking advantage of this hot start. Do we believe in that in the rest of the season? Absolutely not. But if there's a chance that we can get this for another month, another week, even over the weekend, he needs to be added. It's that simple. To tap into this kind of heater just makes complete sense for streaming potential. And you stream until he falls off a cliff. Then you drop him like he's hot. We do not have any ties to him or draft capital or anything. So drop him the second he's hot, second he falls off. But right now he's hot and only 22% owned. Do yourself a favor. Pause the podcast. Add him now. It's Ryan O'Hearn of those Baltimore Orioles with first outfield eligibility. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about TJ Friedel playing for those Cincinnati Reds and playing outfield for them. Look, Friedel is another one that I'm truly interested in. He's 45% owned, and he's having a pretty decent week. 7 runs, a rib, batting 423. Now, he's not blowing you away with power and such, but he is somebody that can steal bases. He's somebody that could chip in a little bit of home run power because he hits in Great American Hitter Park. And quite honestly, the batting average is key. Look, if you're new to the show, you've never heard this before, but if you're an everydayer, you know it. Batting average off the waiver wire is usually something that I tend to steer towards and ride that out. He's been hitting 304 over the last month. That is key. Even over the last 2 weeks, 386 and now 423 over the last week. You need to add that just based off of that. Look, even if you use a bench bat and you're just adding him to be be a guy that fills in, at least he's not destroying your average, and he can possibly chip in some things as well. TJ Friedel is definitely going to be a positive asset instead of having negative impact to your team. I mean, this is what I want out of a guy coming coming off my bench, and a guy that is, my next man up type deal. Somebody that's going to help me in these categories. Look, he's been pretty solid. You know, was in 23, he's being solid this year. Let's see what he can do. Last year was a little bit, up in the air. I think hampered him a little bit and also was coming off some injuries. Let's see what happens. He's a young player, and I just want to see if we can get a little bit more out of him than what and see how long this can continue. Yes, he's 29. I'm not going to buy the breakout, but I am going to buy the performance in the short term. So let's add TJ Friedel immediately and just ride this wave as well. Let's talk about a catcher here. Look, catchers have not been good this year. It's just not a year. You're probably dealing with the Rutchies, and that sounds like an STD, which it pretty much is because you spent a high draft capital on him. He's not really performing, but I might have at least a short term, replacement, at least until the Rutchies kind of end and he can start performing up to par. And that's Gabriel Moreno of the Arizona Diamondbacks, 32% owned, and Moreno has actually been shown out just a tad. Um, I like and if you followed us in the offseason, I have a kind of like a little bit of a guilty pleasure because I like him a lot. I do. I like him as a player and I liked him as a prospect. So it's nice to see him performing finally. So over the last month, he has 14 runs, 4 bombs, 10 ribs, a stolen base batting 321. Over the last 2 weeks, 9 runs, 3 bombs, 6 ribs, batting 389. And on the week, he's batting 333 with a bomb, 2 ribs, and a run and 3 runs. Solid numbers, better than some catchers right now. So I'm definitely trying to add him and trying to see, okay, can he be my next, streamathon type deal? Because like a guy that I added everywhere in all leagues in terms of drafts with my last pick of the draft, Sean Murphy has fallen off a cliff and is hitting a measly 213 over the last month and 216 on the season, but at least the 8 bombs were encouraging. He only has 1 bomb in the last month. Whereas Moreno, I can go in there and slot him in. He's next man up. I stream my catchers, especially in single catcher leagues. So I'm trying to just find the next guy. And Gabriel Moreno is a guy that I've added to help subsidize the no performance coming out of my catcher position right now. This is what you do when you go late on catcher or save it for your last pick of the draft because there's always a catcher to stream when they're on a heater. So I think Moreno's only at the beginning here. I can't wait to see what's going on. The fact that he's continuing the batting average shows me that there might be a little bit more in that tank for some more streaming. So I'm adding Gabriel Moreno now, 32% owned, catcher for those Arizona Diamondbacks. So coming up next, I got 2 more bets: Max Muncy and Jesus Sanchez. Now, one we know wholeheartedly. We've drafted him, we like him, and another guy that you're like, oh, who is that guy? Really, the guy from the Marlins? Well, you're gonna find out why I want these guys on my team coming up after this. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep you fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety, which I do. It's perfect grab and go and snack, and it's great for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or just need a quick boost, it's always my go-to. And honestly, look, I got kids, so the time I get to think about eating is just like not. So I grab the no shell option all the time. And when you love that cracking open your shell and hearing that satisfied crunch, the in shell options are a true classic, which they are. Love having that in a beer. Can't beat that. Get snacking, get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And look, you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast? Check us out and become a member of the Insider Track. Look, you want to find out when prospects are getting called up ahead of your league? Here are the guys. You want to know who to prioritize off this episode? Huh, you got to join the Insider Track. You want to get highlighted key stats and statistics from each episode? You want to get in on that, in on the Insider Track. And if you want to have some questions that you're just not sure what to do, and sometimes we don't get to you in the comment section, well, now you have a direct line. You'll get an answer within 24 hours from Dom and I. So might as well join the Insider Track. Links in the description below. All right, let's get back into baseball and start talking some more ads. And like I promised, Max Muncy of those Dodgers is next man up, 34% owned, playing third base for them Dodgers. And again, another guy that is on a heater. I don't know how long the value is or what we can expect from him, but I want a piece of it. We've seen it in the past where he's been successful. So he might have a little bit more of a shelf life than the other guys we're talking about. And that kind of equates to some things. Third base isn't the, most stalwart, position right now. Maybe you banked on having Royce Lewis and he hasn't really lived up to potential yet. And you held on to him and now he's not performing. At least you can add Max Muncy as kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Um Essentially a backup or an understudy until he starts getting going. But the last 2 weeks have been really encouraging. 5 runs, 3 bombs, 15 ribs, a stolen base, batting 282, 4 home runs on the month with 20 ribs, batting 250. Now, I never expect Max Muncy to hit for batting average. That's just not in his profile anymore. Last year he batted 232. So far in the season, he's batting 212. You look at his history, and Max Muncy, I'm trying to get up his career numbers here, is a career 227 batting average guy. So the fact that he's batting 249 over the last 282 over the last 2 weeks and 250 over the last month is key to his success. We all know he has power out the wazoo. He had 36 home runs in 23 and in 21, 20, and in 22, he had 21 home runs. So as long as he can manage to stay healthy, I think the power and ribs with that team is going to show out. So I definitely want a piece of Muncy for that reason alone. And I kind of just want to ride that wave. If he kind of falls off and falls on his face, I won't also hesitate dropping him. Plus, honestly, I think by the time that happens, it's probably because he's about to hit the IL anyway. So it's just, ride that wave until the wheels fall off, literally and figuratively. Max Muncy, third baseman for the LA Dodgers, needs to be added, 34% owned. Do not hesitate to add. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jesus Sanchez, of those Miami Marlins, playing outfield. He is 3% owned. Now, by no means does he have any long-term shelf life or rest of year hopes. Like, that is, just get that out of your mind right now. He is a stream. That is all he is. He hit a bomb as I'm recording the episode right now on May 28th. 2 runs and a bomb and a rib batting 250 today. Now, on the week, he has 6 runs, 2 bombs, 3 ribs, batting, and lovely 300. Like, gotta love it. Over the last 2 weeks, he has 9 runs, 3 bombs, a 10 run. I'm sorry, I apologize. 11 runs, 3 bombs, um, 7 ribs, a stolen base, batting 267 on the year. I mean, on the month he's hitting 270, and on the year he's hitting 246. I actually liked Jesus Sanchez coming up as a prospect because he just showed a lot of pop, and you know that's one of the things I look for in a guy, especially when they're 6'4", 222 pounds. But he never really came to fruition in those regards. He just, you know, whether it was mine or he just was overhyped for me, I don't know. I just fell in love with the profile. But there's still some things I can always kind of like expect from him. He's gonna hit the ball hard. And if he can just get it over the fence, if he can just get it in the right angle, it's gonna go over the fence. He has an average exit velocity of 91.3 miles an hour. He has a slug of 461 and an xWOBA of 358. The expected batting average is actually better than what he's posting on the season at 262. I like that. He's barreling nearly 10% of the time, creating hard contact 42.7% of the time. Launch angle's kind of in the toilet, but it is what it is. He's a guy that definitely strikes out a lot and whiffs, but he's also walking, which is great. And right now on the season, in terms of that, he has 19 walks to 31 strikeouts. So he's not killing you in points leagues either, especially when he's chipping in 3 doubles and a triple this year so far. Obviously, we like a little bit more, but I think those will come too. He had 25 last year and 23 the year before. So definitely a guy that can contribute as long as he can keep the strikeouts pretty much, on level peg there. I like Jesus Sanchez to stream, and then the second he falls off a cliff, which he eventually will, drop him like he's hot. I'm not really worried about him. The dude is, I think, well past what we can expect from him. Unfortunately, he's 27 years old. I don't foresee a breakout coming anytime soon, unfortunately. Even if he gets moved at the deadline, it's just not a possibility for us. But he's a great stream in the meantime. So Ed Jesus Sanchez, the outfielder for the Miami Marlins, 3% owned. Let's get into the pitching now. Let's talk about probably the side that everybody's more curious about. Who do I stream this week, or what do I do with these next couple guys to bring some stuff into my lineup to give it a little boost? And this first one's a little bit more on the higher end side. It's David Peterson of the New York Mets, starting pitcher. He is, you know, 42% owned and has a matchup this weekend against Colorado at home, which is good, and not at Colorado. So I definitely want to roll him out there. He actually has a really nice ERA on the season, posting a 2.79 ERA through 58 innings. And he also has 54 strikeouts to boot, which I love, with a whip of 1.27, which that part is higher. So I will definitely do the trade-off on the whip for the low ERA, the almost K per inning, and you know, take that little dip on that through 58 innings. Over the last month, he has 30 innings pitched, 2 wins, 26 Ks, a 2.35 ERA with a 1.14 whip. I'm loving it. Last two starts have been fantastic. He went against the Dodgers of all teams, went 7 deep, so also got the quality start. 7 Ks, got the W, 2.35 ERA with a .991 whip. And then against the Yankees, another hard matchup, went 6, got the QS, 4 Ks, a 1.5 ERA with a 1.17 whip. That's really good. Even handled Pitt with 6, got another quality start, along with Arizona got the quality start. I like what David Peterson has done over his last, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts. And he's only really had one bad start with a 5 ERA since March 31st. So honestly, he's a must add in every league at this point because he's producing until he shows otherwise. Quite honestly, he is just doing everything you want out of a guy. And you know what? If he's going to continue doing this, I want a piece of it. Look, he's not a world beater with his fastball. It's only 92 miles an hour. His expected ERA is definitely much higher. It's a 3.72. Even his FIP is a 3.50. So kind of on par. His expected batting average against him is a 2.61. Um, he is giving up hard contact, but luckily he has, City Field to kind of suppress that a little bit because it's about 90.6 miles an hour. Doesn't really get guys to whiff, which is why we're seeing under a K per inning, which even in the past, it's been about 20 under in a total season. Um, but it's okay. We clearly see the high walks, so that it equates to high whips, but he's not allowing guys to barrel. It's under 5%. He's allowing hard contact 45%, but he is producing a lot of ground balls, which is also saving him. So I like that in those regards. So he's doing things to counteract, you know, his I would say shortcomings, right? The way to be a successful pitcher and keep low ERAs and you know manage hard contact is to make it hit the floor versus getting pop it up in the air with a good angle to get it over the fence, essentially. So if you're producing more ground balls than you are fly balls, it's going to equate to more outs and better ERA and more wins and go deeper into games, which will allow you to get more quality starts. So where's his opportunities? His opportunities seem to be his four seam fastball. That's getting hit at a 338 batting average, which is not good, but he throws that about 23% of the time. But his sinker is filthy. It has a 232 batting average. It leans on that nearly 31%, 30% of the time. And that is stellar. His slider has a 194 ERA. He throws that about 20% of the time. And that has the batting average is also on that at 194, putting guys away 35% of the time. So when he does close you out, it's with that or the curveball, which has a put away of 20% of the time. He leans on that about 12% of the time, and that has a batting average of 280, funny enough, but it puts away guys that often with it. It's a weird concept for me to grasp. And that changeup is also filthy with a 188 batting average. So he's doing really good with some pitches. Others just need some improvement. It is what it is. He's being successful. And I could see why his fastball is unsuccessful. It's just a little flat. If he could figure out how to just get a little bit more movement, he's going to be even more filthy and a guy that you'd be able to count on for longer down the stretch. 42% owned is unreasonable. He needs to be added. That Colorado, especially for that Colorado matchup this weekend. So I'm adding David Peterson at least for that. And if the matchup next week is good, he's going to stick around on my roster until essentially I see a bad start. I mean, if you handle Yankees and Dodgers back-to-back matchups and you're able to not only go deep into games and keep your ERA low, He's a guy worth adding. So David Peterson in the New York Mets, 42% owned starting pitcher. Add him immediately. Coming up next, I got Hayden Birdsong, and are we starting him this week? I got Bowden Francis, and are we starting him this week? These guys have some pretty decent ownership numbers, and I want to talk about them and how we're gonna handle this coming up next. All right, let's get back into it. So Hayden Birdsong, I mentioned him at the top, and he plays for the San Francisco Giants, starting pitcher, and he has been pretty solid over the last couple of weeks and kind of becoming a darling across the whole fantasy community. 33% owned, and it's pretty good. It's enticing to add him. All leagues I'm in, unfortunately, he's not available, but hey, he's still out there in 67% of leagues. So his season numbers are 32 innings pitched, 2 wins, 35 strikeouts, 2.48 ERA with a 1.29 whip. Yes, the whip is high, but I'll take it in certain aspects because he's getting over a K per inning and he's producing. Now, the last matchup against Detroit, he got shelled, but hey, who hasn't gotten shelled against the best team in baseball right now with a 6.23 ERA? But it is what it is. The week before, handled Kansas City, who they are no schleps, went 5 deep, got the win, 4 Ks, no earned runs, a 1 whip. And he's been so good. We're starting to see him go deeper in the game. So that is part of it too. He had a matchup where he lasted not even a whole inning against the Cubs early in the season. That honestly inflates some of his ERA too. Same thing against Arizona with a 9 ERA. I just think that we're going to see a little bit more of him if they're going to keep letting him go deeper into games and as a starter, then instead of an opener. I'm liking what we're going to see. So I'm adding him in a lot of leagues and I'm going to test the waters. His next matchup comes up against Miami, who, again, even though I just mentioned and said, hey, let's add Jesus Sanchez, I think that we should be adding him as well, starting Hayden Birdsong, because if that's the only bat I'm scared of in the lineup, I'm okay to roll out Hayden Birdsong. It's okay to give up a run. Just hope that he can go 5, 6 deep, not just to get the quality start, but also to, bring down that ERA if he does give up a run or two. So that's the only kind of consequence of having Hayden Birdsong. But I'm adding him because I like the talent. I like everything about him too in those regards. And just to give you a little inside baseball too, his fastball sitting at 96 miles an hour. Giving up kind of hard contact, but not really at 89 miles an hour. Getting guys to chase 30% of the time, having a whiff 31% of the time, getting the strikeout 25% of the time. Just love to see him produce a lot more ground balls to help kind of manage the home runs that he's giving up. Other than that, he's definitely a solid ad. Let's move on. Let's talk about Bowden Francis of the Toronto Blue Jays, 29% owned. And quite honestly, has a nice start coming up this week against the Athletics. Athletics lost Kurtz, who just started to get hurt. I'm just started to get going. And honestly, the players on that team that I genuinely like aren't really performing. So I want to see what Bowden Francis can do. The guy that's really dangerous in that lineup is Wilson as of late. But Bowden Francis, I think, is a solid start because Athletics really don't scare me. Bowden Francis on the season has 55 innings pitched, 2 wins, 46 Ks. The ERA on the year is not great at a 5.04 and a 1.36 WHIP, but his last couple starts have been pretty darn good against the Rangers, who I think is a good team and a talented team. Went 5 deep, got 6 Ks, no earned runs, and a .8 WHIP. Handled San Diego pretty nicely through 4. If he would have got 5 innings, he would have been in a lot better shape in terms of the ERA, but still 4 Ks, a 4.5 ERA with a 1.5 WHIP. And then, of course, got lit up against one of the best teams in baseball, Detroit. Seattle kind of got shelled him a little bit, but not mad at it. Still managed to get the quality start through 6 innings and had 5 Ks. So I'm not really mad at that start. He's just been so up and down. I still think that he's worth the start against them Athletics this weekend. So I'm definitely adding him in those regards too. And if we look under the hood, it doesn't look that impressive either. But again, he's just a guy that just needs to be started in a pinch. I don't think he's going to be a guy that I want to start in every single league. But if I'm in a spot where, hey, I don't really care about my ERA. I don't really care about my whip. I just need strikeouts because either I'm so far ahead in the two categories I can afford to catch up in strikeouts and not care about my ERA statistics, or my ERA is completely blown up and it doesn't matter and I just need strikeouts. That is when I'm rolling out Bowden Francis and just hoping it gets me at least a K per inning. Let's move on. This is more of a deep league cut. Mike Soroka. A guy that I also truly like, and I wish he would have never gotten hurt all them years ago. And I think we'd be talking about him in a lot more of a different light than how we do now, playing for those Washington Nationals. 6% owned. And quite honestly, he needs to be in a conversation just for the next start at least. So he's going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think it's a decent matchup for him in a pinch. And, you know, a guy that is very widely available, kind of more of that 15 team league. Again, a guy that, hey, if I don't care about my ERA, I just need to throw out any guy out there to kind of get me Ks. And if the potential for him to go out there and be good, then I want to kind of throw him out there as a streamer. If he can walk away with a 4.5 ERA and do what he did against Baltimore with 8 Ks in 5 innings and have a 4.76 ERA, I'm definitely not mad at that outing. Even if he did what he did against Atlanta, 4 innings and 4 Ks and a 4.5 ERA, I'm really not mad. He's going out there, even if he's getting lit, he's producing in the strikeout category. So that's where he's going to really, you know, benefit you, except for this last one against San Francisco. So Mike Soroka, great streamer for a deep league, 15-man, league, something like that. That is where I'm kind of just trying to get him out there. Shallow leagues, don't even look his way unless you truly are blown up in ERA and whip and you just need strikeouts. But let's move on. Let's talk about Jameson Taillon of them Cubbies, 30% owned, another starting pitcher, and he has actually been really good as of this year in general. So 25 in the year 2025, this year, 63 innings pitched, 4 wins, 51 strikeouts, a 3.86 ERA with a 105 whip. Over the last month, he has a 3.68 ERA, and over the last 2 weeks, a 2.33 ERA. And I'm loving what he's doing out on the mound. His last 2 starts have been awesome against Miami and Colorado. Next start comes against Cincy, which is a little bit more of a dangerous team. Obviously, you got to worry about Ellie De La Cruz and company, but I think I'm willing to roll him out there, especially since it's not in Great American Hitter Park, aka Cincinnati's home park. It's at home in Cubs Stadium in Chicago. I want to roll him out there. There's potential getting the win just because the Cubbies have just been so good this season, and just the way he's been handling himself. You know, yeah, he got lit up against the Mets, but whatever. And he got lit up against, and when lit up against Arizona at the first start of the season, those are the 2 biggest swings in his ERA. That if they weren't there, or they were just a little bit less, like a 9, he would have his ERA would definitely be mid threes versus high threes. So I definitely want to roll him out there. I'm not scared to roll him out against Cincinnati as a whole. I think he definitely needs to be streamed this week at minimum, and I think an ad to see how long we can keep this ride going. Jameson Taillon can definitely provide some fantasy value for a couple weeks. So add him in a second he falls off. Who cares? Drop him like he's hot, because we're not here to make friends or get attachments. We're not trying to date them. We're just trying to get the best results out of our team. So Jameson Taillon is somebody that you definitely need to stream for at least a couple weeks. So 30% own them Cubbies. Let's see what we can do. Guys, that's all for today. So please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show. Dom and I will be back together tomorrow. And when you're done, check out our boys solely over at Locked On MLB, who will give you great real MLB coverage and everything you want to know about the league. So with that being said, guys, peace out.